Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Well, hey, Heather.
Hey, Dave. How are ya?
It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast. Of course, that voice you hear is our Quasi Producer Heather, who is, I guess you've kind of gone beyond Quasi because you're kind of our show producer, but Quasi is the good name. AKA the Moana Mom. You'll find her all over the internet. She's taken over the reels on Instagram. She's working on TikTok. She owns Instagram. She's there on Facebook. She's all over. She's the Moana Mom. And how are you?
Oh, I am fabulous this evening. It's been a crazy day.
Of course it has been. Well, you got two daughters. And so as a single mom, I can imagine just about every day is somewhat crazy, if not full on crazy for the most part.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me. I've been a single dad for a couple of days. The wife is in Nashville at a conference. And so he and I have been kind of hanging out for the last couple of days and making it happen. It's all right. It's all good. It's all good. So you might wonder where Jenn is. Jenn is in Mexico. As of last week, she was talking to us about her plans and stuff. She's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I have to go to Mexico." I'm like, "You forgot you had to go to Mexico?"
So crazy.
Only to have a calendar that full, Heather, to be like, "Oh yeah, I have to go to Mexico next week." I forgot.
I know. She remembered it 2 weeks ago because I know she was talking about it, and then what she said a few days prior, "Oh, I forgot I had to go." Must be nice.
That's what happens when you're kind of a boss lady. I mean, you're kind of an important person. You're like, "Oh yeah, I got to do all these things, and I forget all the things I have to do because I'm important." It just kind of wedges it in there. So she's in Mexico right now and unable to come on. But of course, we have Heather here because we're not going to miss a week. This is the Main Street Electrical Podcast. Once a week, magic in your ear holes, as we like to say. So first question, though, Heather, is how did you Disney this week?
I'm a procrastinator. I was listening to you talk last week whenever you said you forgot to book your room.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot to book our pre-night stay because me and Bridget are going down a day earlier and meeting Nikki down there. And I completely forgot to get a room.
Is this a December trip?
Yep.
Okay.
So I booked my stay for that one night in November before the December trip. And then today I'm wearing I call it vintage Orange Bird Spirit jersey.
I like it
because it's freezing.
Steph has one of those. She has one of those Orange Bird jerseys. It's she can't wear it as much now because she's so much thinner and
she's
tinier
so tiny
now. And now the thing swarms her. And so she puts it on and she's like, two of me could fit in here. And it's really ridiculous. And now we have to go back and start rebuying Spirit jerseys at a smaller size, which is, of course, is expensive.
It's expensive.
It's also freezing here, although not freezing there or not freezing here as much as it is there. What is your temperature there, as of right now?
Oh my gosh. Hold on. Let me see. Let me hit weather. That says, ironically, whenever it comes up, it says Orlando. Right now in Pittsburgh, it is 38 degrees and it is drizzling.
Nice. 38 and rainy. It's 41 and clear here. I woke up this morning and got the kid ready and was getting his clothes and everything. And as I assembled the clothes the night before, actually, sorry, he throws them down the stairs. That's his ritual. And then he crawls on the bed. So this morning I grabbed his clothes and I was like, it's a little cold downstairs. Let me check the temperatures to see. Maybe he needs a long sleeve or something. And it was 40 degrees outside this morning. And I'm like, well, let me go get some pants and sweatshirt for him. And of course, I am Disneying by wearing my brand new Pizza Planet Alien Toy Story pajama pants because at nighttime I shut down, I get undressed, I put my pajamas on. I don't really wear pajamas. I wear a fun t-shirt and my pajama pants, and I'm sporting for the first time this season the Disney long pants, and I'm excited because I love the fall. I don't like it cold, but I like it cool. I'm cool with that, and so it's nice outside. I'm not going outside right now, but it's nice outside.
I don't like the cold. We all know this.
Well, the real cold, which is why you're coming to Florida sooner than later. So I'll be interested to see how you take the heat when it's permanent for you, not just like, oh my gosh, I'm here for a week. It's so hot. I'm going back to Pittsburgh, which, I've heard it gets hot there too. But yeah, it's hot in Florida. This is one of the reasons Stephanie's like, I hate the cold. She's like, but I also hate the hot. We'll just stay in Alabama, but where it's somewhat cold and somewhat hot. So
yes.
Let's jump on a little news here. First things first, Tusker House is now going back to the buffet style, not the family style, but the buffet style. I'm a fan of the buffet. I know that our co-host Jen likes the family style because bring the food to her. Me, I like going to the bar to get whatever food I want to get.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I'm a big fan of the Tusker House one because it's like the best breakfast on property. And they have those little donut holes. Do you remember back when they had it? They had all those little, I think they're like Krispy Kreme ones. They like melt in your mouth. I'm so excited that it's going back to it. So might be an unpopular opinion, but I am pumped, especially about that one.
I'm also pretty excited about this too, because I think that I think it's good. It's another indication that everything's going back to normal, and I hate to say back to normal because we're kind of there as it is, but at the same time, it's another step to basically going back to what we were before the pandemic. And I don't know that we'll ever get fully there. There are some things that will never come back, dining plan, fast passes, but it's another indication that we're doing what we're doing. We're fine. I don't mind. They got the nose guard, the sneeze guards they call the glass and everything to protect it. I like going up there and getting my cut of beef from the thing. And they have cheese blintzes there at Tusker House, which I'm really excited about as well. And it's great food. And for those people out there who are like, I don't know that I want a whole breakfast full of African style food. There is African style food and American cuisine as well. So you can get your Mickey waffles along with your cheese blintzes and whatever it is, roast ostrich or whatever it is they serve there. You can get it. It's all good there. So also opened up again, Monsieur Paul. I've never been to Monsieur Paul. It's above the Chefs de France there in France. It is a signature dining experience. And have you ever been to Monsieur Paul?
No. I had this so Agent Meredith that we talk about often on here, she is a foodie.
Yes.
And she loves it and she thinks it's great. And so is Jen. And I am not. I feel that maybe I should be, but like I'm a sugar addict. So give me cake. I'm good.
Well, it's the restaurant's reopening. They've got a brand new prefix menu. It's meant to mimic a gastronomical meal and starts with a glass of champagne. And then it has 5 courses brought to you. And here are the 6 words that you need to know. The restaurant is $195 per adult. And that's probably why I'm not going to go, because anything that's a meal, one meal for $195, I have a hard time with that. It's like, it's kind of my $600 pants theory. I met somebody who was actually fairly wealthy, and they were wearing pants, and they told me that the pants were $600, and I was like, you spent $600 a pair of pants? He's like, yes. Once you put on $600 pants, you'll never want to wear anything again. And I'm like, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could spend $600 on a pair of pants, and I'd have a hard time spending $200 on one single meal for myself. If it's the two of us, if it's Steph and I, we're splurging. We've done that before. We had a $200 meal. It's an anniversary or something. But $500 once you include tip, that's like a third of a Victoria and Albert's meal. Still, that's a lot.
No. The most expensive one I've ever done was Space 220 for dinner. And every time I've gone back, I've done lunch since. So
well, and you don't get drinks with your lunch. You get drink with your dinner.
And you get a dessert.
And I feel like the money you would pay extra for that, you could get drink water and get a dessert and still come out a few bucks to the cheaper.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I go to Space 220 like often, but it's always for lunch.
Well, so let me ask you, this is a touring question for Epcot. Do you find yourself, when you're doing maybe your own trips or you're booking for clients or whatever, do you find yourself kind of cautioning them about doing dinners like on Future World? Because most people do Future World in the morning and then they hit World Showcase. I had a client today talking about the difference in Teppanyaki and Garden Grill for dinner. And I'm like, think about where you're going to be, because if it's 5:30, you've been doing Feed and Wine all afternoon, all evening, or Festival of the Holidays, and you've got Garden Grill at 6:30, you've now got to traverse the park all the way back across versus Teppanyaki is right there, or Viennapoli is right there, or whatever. I mean, do you find yourself kind of cautioning people, or is that just eat where you want, just figure it out?
No, I kind of I have a meeting before with them to ask them what they think that they want to do and do some suggestions with it. But a lot of times if they are very adamant about having a sit down, I'm either like, okay, you can do breakfast because you're going to pick around and you're going to eat in all the countries throughout like your entire day. Or I do a dinner where you're going to sit down and have a dinner. I I don't know, because some people like to drink around the world and then they
Mhm.
want a meal at night. So I think it's like depends on the family and like what they're into. And then you have those clients that are super Epcot people that will do it like 2 or 3 days and they
Yep.
love it. So I'll book them a different one each night if they want.
Yeah, I found myself at Epcot more often than not, many times on family vacations. It's happened before where I look around, ask Stephanie, I'm like, this is the third time we've been to Epcot in this trip in like 6 days. And she's like, I know, we just keep ending up here because it just draws you in. It just is what it is. Also in Epcot, if you're around the corner, leaving Tepidito and all that, heading all around the corner towards Mexico, you're going to stop in Norway. And starting November 4th, if you can get the reservation, because I imagine it will be a madhouse, Akershus Princess Dining is reopening.
I'm so pumped.
Couple of things with this. First of all, it's the first face character meal that we've had, like princess meal that we've had to reopen, because everything else has been costume characters. So now we have face character meal reopening. Second, the only princess dining, Cinderella's royal table does not count. It's
Nope.
Cinderella just waving through, taking a picture, and that's it.
Yep.
The first princess dining that we've had, and they're opening for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I can't remember if they were open, if they had characters. I can't remember if they had lunch last time, but I know it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner now. Brand new menu. Reservations go on October 24th for an opening on November 4th. How excited are you for this?
Oh, I'm so glad it's back. It's one of those things that clients, whenever they're saying, I want to see a bunch of princesses,
Mm-hmm.
this is the one where I'm like, save it for your Epcot day.
Yeah.
Let's just get you a reservation there and just knock 5 of them out right off the bat. And you're having an amazing meal. And it's like the perfect start to like an Epcot day. I'm a breakfast person though, and I just love saying, okay, let's get all the characters and
Yep.
get your sit down meal out of it, like out of the way. Oh, I'm so excited it's back. And I'm hoping then they're going to say that the princesses are coming back to Cinderella's royal table soon too.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That would be great. Cinderella's Royal Table usually tops out anywhere from $65 to $75 a person, maybe a little bit more depending on the season. Looks like it's going to be 63 per adult plus tax and gratuity, and 41 per child, ages 3 through 9, plus tax and gratuity at the upcoming dining for Princess. They've got, like I said, they've got lunch, they've got dinner, they've got breakfast, which is going to be exciting. I'm looking at the menu now, and it looks fantastic. There's a lot of words on here I can't say, so I'm not going to try. Although you will have the Norwegian word, and you'll have something like a colon, and it says Norwegian meatballs, and then
Yes.
the Norwegian word, and it says Norwegian potato dumplings served with roast chicken. So, like I've been here a couple of times, and previously they did. I don't know that they had the princesses for dinner. I've been there at dinner before when they didn't have the princesses. Maybe
So
I'm
that
wrong.
I think that was my question today because I think I even like asked someone like, were they there for dinner? I don't remember them being there for dinner. You think that we would remember this, but I feel
Right.
like it's been like 2.5 years since we've
Yeah.
had it. I honestly can't remember.
Well, hopefully we're going to have more things come up. I know Agent Kyla said she looked at the menu and found a breakfast menu. So the description that was given was that we can see some of our favorite princesses. It didn't say breakfast, lunch, or dinner, nor did it say the characters will be at all of them. So we're going to kind of wait and see. But I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee they will be at breakfast. That I can
Mm-hmm.
promise you they will be at
Yeah.
breakfast. Probably at dinner because the demand will be so high for this. Client
Mm-hmm.
was asking. It was funny because a client mentioned to me they wanted princess meal. They're dining us tomorrow. And we talked about it today, and she's like, I finally made my decisions the day before. And we want princess dining. And I'm like, well, there's nothing available. And she's like, we went to Norway a couple of years ago and it was really good. I'm like, well, it's not available. Literally within 60 seconds, that link was posted in one of our chats about it coming back. So I emailed her quickly. I'm like, guess what? It's coming back. And she
It's
said,
coming
well,
back.
we would like to get so and so time. And I basically, in a nicer way, was like, you're going to get whatever time you get,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to like it because whatever time I
Yeah.
see, I'm going to grab. I'm not going to try to
Yeah.
find you 8:30 or 8:40. If it's 11:15 or 10:51 or what, that's what you get, and you're going to like
Mm-hmm.
it because you'll be one of the lucky ones.
Exactly.
It's going to be crazy and very, very hard to get. Also, here's a rumor, and I love mentioning rumors to you because you're fun to talk about with rumors. There is a rumor floating around from a couple of websites, not just one, but a couple, that the Epcot Play Pavilion, the much ballyhooed Play Pavilion that people have been talking about, it's appeared on Epcot maps, including the Epcot 40th map, but they didn't talk about it at E23. The rumor is they're now canceling the project entirely. Have you heard this rumor? Your thoughts
I
on this? Do you think that this is what they're doing? You think, I mean, obviously we know it's very possible that this could happen, but is this a good idea or what are we thinking?
so I didn't hear the rumor. It makes sense if they are going to cancel it, but I'm a little bit confused if the rumor is true because they started working on it prior to everything shutting down, and then
Mhm.
they said they were going to start working on it again. What are they going to do with the area that they were going to put it in?
Well, the
I mean, I'm
articles I've
fine.
read, it's unknown. They don't know what they're going to do with it. They're just shutting
Okay.
it down and not doing
It's
anything
just
with it right
not
now.
doing
Just
anything.
yeah. Which Disney has unfortunately a habit of closing things or shutting
Mhm.
things down, and they're leaving the spaces just there.
Mhm.
And without any promise or any hope of what's coming, or even opening up some. I mean, there's so many spots, even in Epcot, that I feel like they could just open up a meet and greet, an easy, put through
Mhm.
decorations on the wall, and suddenly you've got a Wally meet and greet, or you've got
I
a
would like that.
Mulan meet and greet. Well, it's in China, but a Merida meet and greet in Epcot or something. You've got something fun just to bring people off of the sidewalks into the area, and I feel like you could do that with several spaces there. Honestly, I would pay a $25 surcharge to take a tour backstage to go see the old Horizons building and go
I
see
know.
some of the like the Kitchen
See.
Cabaret and some of the old stuff that
Mhm.
apparently is still there.
It's still
Like all
there.
the stuff is still
It's
there.
literally
It's just boarded up.
was it you or was it Nikki? It might have been Nikki whenever at Epcot 40. I think I was telling her that the animatronics that are in Spaceship Earth
Mm-hmm.
are still in there.
Yeah.
All they did was put up a board with a black like sheet over top of it, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all still in there because when they were looking for sponsors, whenever they were once again Disney puts things on the back burner,
Right.
whenever they were going to make over Spaceship Earth because she was going to get a facelift, they had some sponsors that walked through there, and like one of the sponsors revealed or something that said that they went in, they turned the lights on, and like all the old stuff is still in there. Oh, that would be
I've
great.
heard.
People would pay to go see
Yes.
that.
Yes, I've heard some of that as you're going backwards down that big hill with the
That's when you
lights.
can really
If
see
you
it.
if you look off to the right and to the left, you will see you'll see black tarps. You can't really make out what it is, but a lot of that I think is old stuff they just didn't do anything with. And I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't
Mhm.
understand why, they don't do some of the, yeah, people would definitely pay for that. I'd pay 30, $40 for that in a heartbeat just to walk through there. I know you can't take pictures, but just to kind of see some Epcot history of things
Mhm.
that went by and things that no longer exist and whatever.
Mhm.
I know there's a story out there somewhere about the guy who stole Buzzy, one of the animatronics
Oh
from
yeah.
Epcot. He stole it and tried to sell it. And there's a whole legal thing going on there with that guy. He's gotten massive trouble because he stole it.
He
And
stole it.
so not cool. A couple more points here. Very Merry Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party sold out November 8th, 10th, 11th, and 22nd. So the first couple of days, the party sold out, and of course the 22nd, which I think is the last one before Thanksgiving break, I believe, or somewhere right in there, sold out. So if you want to go to the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, go ahead and get your tickets. I know it's not refundable. What I tell people when they're asking about it, I'm like, if you're not sure, wait, because they are non-refundable. You can
Mhm.
transfer your tickets maybe to something else, maybe, but don't buy them yet. But when you're sure and you're like, yes, we're gonna go, buy your tickets. Let's get
Because
your
they will
tickets
sell
right
out.
now because they will sell out. It's very
Mhm.
slow, much like the Halloween party was very slow. But suddenly we get into August as the weeks went on, everything sold out. I think
Mhm.
once Halloween is over, these tickets will start going quicker and quicker, and they will be gone. One final point to the news here, guys. If you're looking for a Christmas trip, this is not an infomercial for our agency, Upon a Star Travel, info at uponastar.travel.com. But if you're looking for a Christmas trip and you're like, where we want to go for Christmas week, we want to go for Christmas Day, Magic Kingdom already sold out Christmas Day for Park Pass reservations. You cannot get into the Magic Kingdom as of right now for Christmas Day. So this is something you want to hop on pretty daggum fast to get in there, to get your tickets, to get your Park Pass reservations. Because I imagine, again, like the Christmas party, once we get in November and the swing of things roll in, Christmas is now going and everything's great, exciting, and fun, we're going to start seeing these days disappear pretty fast and things will get
Mhm.
sold out. And suddenly you're going to be spending 4 days at Epcot, maybe a day at Animal Kingdom because that's all that's left. That's all that's left.
Or
So,
5 days at Animal Kingdom.
and finally, of course, we mentioned Angela Lansbury passing last week. Very sad. I was listening earlier to the episode of the Imagineers podcast with our friends Matt and Susan. They were also honoring Angela Lansbury. Great little tribute on their end. And they were discussing the idea that we talked about last week is that we're losing our heroes. We're losing
Mhm.
as they get older and older. We're losing them. I'm not going to call out the ones that are on death's door because that would make me sad thinking about Dick Van Dyke possibly dying because he's 96.
Mhm.
But Robbie Coltrane, of course, passed this week with some health issues. He was Hagrid, very beloved as Hagrid. He's a great character actor, been in a lot of stuff, probably more things than people realize once
Mhm.
you look at his IMDb credits. But of course, he was known as Hagrid. And one of the most profound things he said, and the clip was going around the internet about how in 50 years he will be gone. but Hagrid will still be around. And
Lives forever.
while I question some of the casting in the Harry Potter series, I carry the unpopular opinion that Alan Rickman was wrong for Snape. Robbie Coltrane was perfect for
Oh,
Rubeus Hagrid.
110%.
Absolutely perfect for
He
Rubeus Hagrid.
he fit when you were reading
Yes.
those books. He fit
Yep.
the description, how he delivered the
Mhm.
lines, the
Mhm.
everything to a T. He
Yep,
was perfect for it.
And I imagined his face when when I'm doing the audiobooks and stuff with Jim Dale reading, which is incredible, by the way. If you've never done the Harry Potter series in audio, it's magnificent. But I always imagine the Hagrid I see in the movies with Robbie Coltrane when I'm listening to the voice being done by Jim Dale, because it's just great. It's just
Mhm.
great. So we will miss you, Robbie Coltrane. So I want to get to this thing. I want to get to a little list here, Heather, and I want to ask your opinion on this. I'm going to call this little segment, Will They Return? I have 5 experiences and or attractions that are featured throughout the parks that have been closed since before the pandemic, or since the pandemic happened, and they're not returning yet. We haven't heard anything about them at all. So my question number 1 for each of these is, do you think they're going to return at all? And number 2, do you want them to return, or do you want to see something else? And you can't say, yes, I want them to return because we need something in that spot. I mean, really, honestly, do you want this attraction to return? And the first one is Enchanted Tales with Belle. Now that we know that, now that we have Akershus coming back, do you want this to return? And if do you want to see it return? Do you think it will return?
Okay. So I do. This is such a catch-22 question. Okay. I do think that it's going to return just because people loved it so much with the experience of going in there, and the kids got to be part of the show, and you can see Lumiere in there and whatever. The problem with this I don't even want to say this attraction, this meet and greet thing, is that it takes forever to like get into it.
So
It
20
is
minutes.
not,
Yeah.
it is not like a big enough venue. Does that
Yeah,
make
that makes sense. A little like a little theater, but it's only like
Yes.
10 benches, maybe.
We
So-
need if you're going to do it, refurbish it. I don't care if you push it in the back into some magical room whenever you walk through the mirror. And make it a bigger space. It takes way too long. If you
Right.
didn't have a quote unquote fast pass at the time, we wouldn't do it because you would be standing in that line forever. I'm okay if it doesn't come back. If it doesn't come back, I think it would be a great option where you know what do I want to say? Like how they have Belle in her like blue dress whenever she's in Epcot, she's in the blue
Right.
dress, right?
Right.
Why don't they have like her with like a little like Mrs. Potts animatronic and like Chip and like the
Or
Lumiere and
Lumiere, which is
Cogsworth and like get a photo with that and like do like a video that has like the magic happening like behind the kids in the photos, because you don't get to meet Belle. And every single person that goes into be our guest, they're like, well, Beast is there, does Belle come out? Everybody asks about it.
Right.
So can we put Belle in that park somewhere, like where it's not taking an hour to see her?
I think the appeal of it was that it was interactive and your kids got to go up, and some of the adults. I've done it 3 or 4 times where you get to go up and you get to be a plate or a knight or a fork or whatever. And I think you could still do something like that. Have a meet and greet, like you said, have those characters in the background for your photo, and maybe give the kids or whoever the option. They can hold a plate up, they can hold a fork up, they can hold the knight head up or whatever. They can hold a prop up as another character to be in the photo. You could just have somebody there to take the pieces backstage and kind of sanitize them real quick and bring new pieces out or whatever, but do something like that where it is interactive and the kids can feel part of the quote unquote story, get the picture, and you're gone. And I think that would be really, really, really popular because I loved Enchanted Tales with Belle, but you're right. On busier days, it is impossible to get in. There's only like one pre-show, which is the wardrobe, which don't lose that effect. That effect is amazing. But beyond that, you're just working your way through the house, and the house is not very big. So that line's going to come out of that house, weave around. And so, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think it will come back at some point. I would love to see it kind of refurbished a little bit. What about on the princess's mentality here? What about over in Hollywood Studios, The Voyage of the Little Mermaid?
Oh, that thing can go away.
Do you think it will come back though? Because I'm not sure that it will.
No, I don't think it will.
I think it's so dated.
I don't know what they'll put in there though. I was thinking about that whenever we were just there a couple weeks ago as we walked past it, because I was thinking, what kind of fits in here because they have that Star Wars launch bay there,
Mhm.
and then they have the place where you can meet the characters, and then Little Mermaid was just kind of there. And let's face it, ever since we got the one in Magic Kingdom, nobody really goes to the
Right.
show. And the show
Right.
needed updated anyways, and the puppets were like, I don't know, made of like styrofoam.
Right.
Um, I don't know what they can put in there. I mean, I honestly don't know what is the best thing to put in there. I don't
Yeah, I don't either,
know,
and I don't think it's coming back
but
either
it should
because
not come
I don't
back.
think there's a clamoring for it, honestly.
Mm-mm.
It was really cool when laser lights were cool, because that's
Mhm.
kind of the appeal of the show. But you do have the same kind of effect and the same kind of thing in, the Under the Sea with the Little Mermaid in Magic Kingdom. So you're getting a double dose of that. And you're right. I don't know if, I mean, one thought would be to find another princess and do like a small little stage show, little musical there. But you've got Frozen right around the corner, so you've got an
Mm,
entire Frozen show to do there. And so I think the whole concept of doing another princess show there might be too much. They will find an IP, I'm sure, and put something there. And but yeah, I don't think it'll come back, and I have no idea what they want to put there.
yeah.
Keeping in Hollywood studios, do you think the Jedi Training Academy is going to come back, and should it come back? Do you think you want it to come back?
I know that all clients want it to come back. I've
Mhm.
never seen Star Wars, so I don't know. But yeah, I think it's great, but can they put it somewhere else? Now the Galaxy's Edge is
Maybe they put it in the
open?
Voyage of the Little Mermaid. So,
Wait,
that
and then you
way,
could come right out of Star Wars launch bay and like go to
exactly. Open up that entire
smart.
thing. Kind of you can actually put like some foliage behind you, some decoration behind you to make it appear more like a Star Wars planet, whether it's a
Mm,
desert planet or trees or whatever. You have a stage up there. The kids can come on stage and have seating for the parents. It's not in the hot sun, and they can all get pictures and stuff with the characters, and maybe even have a meet and greet with some of the characters back behind there. This is
oh,
all
I
off the top of
do
my head,
like
like
that
right
idea.
now. But open that up and make that the Jedi Training Academy. Coming out of Launch Bay, it's right there. So,
Oh, I do like that idea.
and you could
Yeah.
have,
I,
and you
I
have more kids too at the same
mm,
time, which I think would work.
yeah. I because the client you would like run to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To sign
Yep.
up for it. So
Yep.
yeah, I think that they should bring it back because it's just such a fan favorite and everybody loves doing it.
Mhm.
But they need to move it, and that would be a great place for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
like
so.
that.
And I agree. You could just clean it out and just basically carpet it down, hardwood it down, put a little stage on there. You wouldn't have to do a lot to it. Just have a
Nope.
big open room, and I think that would work. Two more. The Tinkerbell meet and greet in Sleepy Hollow in Town Hall. Right now, earlier this week, we saw Mickey, the Mickey Minnie meet and greet there in Town Hall, Magic Kingdom, hit a 400 minute, was it 200 or 400? There was some godly
It's
number of
insane.
minutes to meet Mickey and Minnie. Of course, they're in their 50th anniversary celebration outfit. Um, do we think Pixie Hollow is coming back? Is the Tink coming back? Are they just going to leave that as is and just keep it Mickey only?
Mm, I that's a good question. I say she does come back because you can't meet her anywhere
Mhm.
else, and she's such an iconic now that
Mhm.
Happily Ever After is coming back.
Yay.
I mean, you're gonna see her fly at the end of the night, but, like, where else can you see her during the day other than in the parade? I love whenever you go in there that you feel like you are shrunk down to the size
Yes,
of,
with the
like, a
little
little
pixie
fairy.
lights coming by
Mhm.
you and everything. I love that.
I like the whole experience of it. But where
One of the
else would you
things
meet her at?
Well, one of the things I love that they do is that they now let you like only a family or two at a time go in to meet the characters instead of just having the long line. You hop up and there you are, like they did with Joy and Sadness over in Epcot, or Baymax over in Epcot, or some of the other characters when they had the animation hall where you're just waiting in line, then you just jump up and meet your character. Like you have to round a corner, they open a door, and they only let a few people in at a time, and it just feels more personal by doing
Mhm.
that because you don't have all these other families just like staring at you.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Pixie Hollow was like that. The only other place I could think where it would go would be something like Animal Kingdom, where because
Mm.
it's very leafy and foresty and and environmental, I guess, gardeny. If that's a
My
word,
gosh,
something
what
like
if they
that.
could, like, redo the Dino Land and make it like Pixie Hollow? That was really popular, like, what? Was that, like, 10 years
Back
ago?
10, 15 years ago,
I
there was
mean,
like five
nobody
or
knows what
six
they are
Tinkerbell
now,
movies.
but, I
Yeah.
mean, they had a solid run with all of those Tinkerbell movies.
Well, that's why Tinkerbell is no longer a Disney princess, because she was in the 90s and she was pulled back to go into the fairy line when they started looking at doing these Tinkerbell movies, which the
Doing those
first one came
movies.
out in 06, '07, because I had just started with the Disney store in '08 and that movie was already out. And they've done 4 or 5, 6 with celebrity voices and stuff. And they've done several, and actually the Tinkerbell movie is not bad. I've seen it.
It's not
It's not a bad movie. I
it's not
actually kind of enjoyed it. Finally, do we think 1900 Park Fair is coming back specifically for breakfast, supercalifragilistic breakfast? Now, for people who don't know this one and don't remember it, you go there and you meet not only, I mean, it's this cornucopia of characters. You met Mary Poppins, you met Alice, you met the Mad Hatter, Tigger and Pooh, all British characters. It was like the I guess the plaza over at Disneyland, where it's just this array of characters just all coming at you at once. Wonderful meal, chilled strawberry soup. It was the Grand Floridian in 1900 Park Fair restaurant. And of course, at night they had the Cinderella's Royal Gala where Cindy and the Prince and
Stepsisters
were coming out and stuff. And do we think it's coming back?
It is going to come back. Here's why it's going to come back. That Calliope piano that is like up in the ceiling has like so much historical, like there's a backstory with it and it still works and all that kind of stuff. It is going to come back, but I do not think you're going to see Pooh and Tigger there. I think they will stick with like the British theme thing, but I am wondering if they can't kind of make it more Mary Poppins in the breakfast, where you could do like Mary Poppins and Bert and like maybe some of the penguins. And I love to keep it Cinderella with Prince Charming and the stepsisters, because that was hilarious. Those stepsisters stole the show every single time. But you can't get rid of the Mary Poppins breakfast because they just refurbished all those rooms to have a Mary Poppins theme. So I feel that they're just refurbishing like that whole area, and they have to get the cast members to come back. I mean, they have to hire a lot of cast members to make that work. And I think that's what a lot of people forget about, is that it's not that Disney doesn't want it to be open. It's that it requires a lot of cast members to do this day in and day out, and they just don't have the staff for it yet.
I wonder if they're holding on to a reopening for this until Grand Floridian is done, when they're doing the refurbish.
And
then they kind of all open it at once, and they could say, along with the refurbish of Grand Floridian, 1900 Park Fair is open with a brand new menu and new characters. And you're right. Now that you said that, I forgot about the Mary Poppins theme. So putting Bert there, I don't know any other iconic characters besides Bert, Mary, and the penguins. I don't know.
I mean, even if you left Alice and the Mad Hatter there, that's fine. But I never understood. I got the British thing, but like Pooh and Tigger are at Crystal Palace. Let's just leave them there.
Right. Plus the meet and greets outside of the Pooh restaurant. The Pooh attraction in Magic Kingdom. So there are multiple places to meet Pooh, and they used to have them in Animal Kingdom. I don't know if they still do or not, but they used to have Pooh and Tigger at Eeyore Animal Kingdom. So you want Pooh, you can find it anywhere. So those are our 5 will they returns. Good discussion there. Finally, let's talk about the villains. This is exciting because at D23, which Heather has reminded me, you got to stop being so negative about D23. You've complained too much about D23. I get it. You're right. I had some negative things to say. I was disappointed by some things I was really excited about. And one of the things I was excited about was the ending of D23, not because it was over, but because they were announcing some of the new things they had on the Blue Sky board. For Magic Kingdom. Now, these are things that are not going to happen for probably 3, 4, 5 years. I'm thinking maybe D23 in 2024, we might hear more specific information about some of this that might be coming. We will see, though. But one of the things they mentioned was a villains area. What's beyond Big Thunder Mountain? What's beyond the spire?
Yes.
What's beyond the mountain? As we go back beyond the mountain to see, and they mentioned villains. And of course, fans have been clamoring for a villains park for so long. People have been asking for villains. And I even had a thought of doing, like, my whole vision was doing it like an imagination park where you had Star Wars and Marvel and villains and princesses in a hub. You go to whatever park you want to go to, and that's all the stuff is there. So they're going to bring that to the Magic Kingdom because Bob doesn't return my phone calls when it comes to this. So we're going to kind of build our own little villains park. What area do we have there? And I think we talked about doing like an e-ticket attraction, which is like a big attraction, maybe not a massive roller coaster, but something bigger. Like Big Thunder would be an e-attraction or e-ticket. Dark ride, which would be like a smaller ride. Peter Pan would be a dark ride, something take you in story wise, whatever. Some sort of villains show of some sort, and then a restaurant of some sort, and then of course any other thing we want to throw in there. And I will start. The first thing I want to do is I want to mention my little show here, and I want to call it LeFou's Henchman Hoopla. And I want to take all the villains, their henchmen, and make a show out of it. You got your Pain and your Panic, You got your hyenas, Shinzi and Ed, and the other one. You've got some of the cards from the Alice in Wonderland series. You've got the stepsisters. You've got all the ones that aren't the main villain, but the henchmen. LeFou maybe hosts it, kind of comes out. They can do some songs and whatever, some just chances to see some villains out there on stage that you never get to see. You never get to see Painted Panic, but how cool would it be to see Painted Panic on stage? To see, to see Iago, maybe as an animatronic. You use the one that they took out of the Tiki room from a couple years ago. It didn't burn up, which was fire that, of course, accidentally started. But do a villains like a henchman hoopla kind of thing, where they get out there and it's like a comedy show of sorts. But you have these henchmen, these sidekick villains that you never get to see. Have them on one stage. I think the pictures would be great. I think it'd be so much fun to see some of these guys on stage.
Oh, I like that. What the name threw me for right there. But no, I think that's a great idea. Things that you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not good for this one because
that's okay.
I am not good at watching the shows, like the castle shows and stuff like that. But I go to Disney all the time. But I was thinking, if you were going to do a stage show, why can't Madame Mim be like the host of it?
I love it.
Because she's two things terrified me as a Disney child, which we will get to later. What is the devil thing's name in Fantasia?
Oh, Chernobog.
Oh, he's terrifying. Nightmares. And Madame Mim, her face was just it to this day. I just am like, oh, I don't know if she had a meet and greet. I don't know if I could be brave enough to go up and like, oh, let's. You were like part of my nightmares. But if she hosted it and then like, poof, purple smoke or whatever, and then like the next villain comes out or whatever, and they sing not even so much like Disney songs. What if they sing like they have like this whole new show that is just all about like being evil? I don't even care if they sing the songs for like Descendants or something. But can you imagine like having all of them and like every time she poofs with some like purple smoke or whatever, like another one appears? I don't know. She creeps me out. And I was like, oh, if she had a stage show, I would watch it and I'd be like, a little bit, where's this going? Because Maleficent, let's face it, she's like the queen bee. But like stage show, she's bigger than that. We'll get to that.
I like it. Another one I was thinking of, and this is almost Disney would not do this because this is sort of a copy of. But if you go over to Universal down the street, it's a park that exists about 5 miles down the road. Heather, I know you're sort of unfamiliar with it, but there is and I forget the name of it, but it's over in the Simpsons area, and you've got the main. Like one of the aliens right there in the middle, and it's kind of like a roundabout ride, like a Dumbo,
yeah.
Take that alien out and put Ursula right there. Have the tentacles coming up, holding
this is exactly what I thought about.
And the whole thing spins, Yes. And you could call it the, poor unfortunate, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever. And each of the cars spins too. As they go around the circle, you have the ability to make them spin almost like a spider ride, and maybe kind of goes up and down, that kind of thing, with Ursula just right in the middle. I love it.
I literally wrote on here because the only thing you said, come up with e-ticket attraction, come up with a dark ride, come up with the show, and
like a restaurant,
a dining thing.
Yep.
And I was like, wait a minute. If there is one of those, because we all know Jenn's feelings on Aladdin's magic carpet, but if there was one thing that you could throw in the Villains Park that nobody would complain about it being such a simple ride, take an old-fashioned spider ride and just put Ursula on top of it, and it works because of her tentacles, and she could,
exactly.
It was yes. Oh, I love that we both thought of that. That's
exactly.
Fantastic.
Well, can you imagine though at night how that would be lit up?
And
like have like
purple?
a moat around it or something with water splashing, or maybe in the that would be fantastic. So
I love it.
I had a harder time with an ticket attraction, something bigger. And one of the things I would love to see, almost like a Streets of Agrabah kind of attraction, where you quote unquote board a magic carpet, almost like Aladdin's magic carpet, except this one goes a lot faster, and you're soaring through like on a coaster track. It's a small coaster, but you're soaring through the coaster track like the Streets of Agrabah, and you're being chased by Jafar, maybe have Iago screaming at you, whatever, some animatronics. I keep having Iago all over the place, and you're just flying through on these carpets and just whipping back and forth through the streets. And you would need to ride, the coaster would need to ride under the track. under the track. And I've been on coasters like that before, so we can swing kind of back
Oh,
and
okay.
forth
So
and
you
up and
swing.
down. Exactly.
Okay.
Have one big hill where it's going under the track. And I'm imagining, for anybody who's familiar with Busch Gardens history, in Williamsburg, Virginia, they used to have an attraction called the Big Bad Wolf, one of my favorite coasters ever. It's been closed many, many years, but it rode under the track. You boarded it and kind of went up a big hill, and you were going through like this little town where the werewolf, stalked the
Mhm.
people, whatever. It's all smoky and stuff. Same concept, except you're flying through the streets of Agrabah. You're trying to escape Jafar and his minions, and just I think that would be amazing. Now, it would take 14 years for Disney to build it because that's
Oh
what
my
Disney
gosh, because
does.
it would be a coaster.
But how cool would that be?
That is an awesome idea. There's what was that called? It's called is it called, I think it's the Raptor that's up here in Cedar Point, where you like hang below the track, and that's something like that. So I came up with 2 options for e-ticket attractions. So I'm just going to pick obviously the clear runner here is that you do a coaster, and it's literally Maleficent's, like, Maleficent theme. It doesn't need to be called Maleficent's whatever. It's just called Maleficent. The whole thing is black, neon green, and purple. And if you can imagine riding some kind of coaster that then has like the dragon, not that I'm stealing an idea from a park down the street, but can
Right.
you imagine if you were like going up a hill, and then like all of a sudden she just like lifts those wings, kind of like how she breathes the fire during the Festival of Fantasy Parade.
Right.
But if you had like like, it's not even an animatronic, one of those giant things when you get to the top of the hill, she just raises those wings. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that
I
would
would
be
lose
cool.
my mind.
That would be cool.
So that's my number one. But
Well,
my
you could
number,
also, as you're cresting that hill, have that dragon breathe fire. And you
yes.
could feel it as you're cresting it. It's safe because it'll be just as you'd be actually farther away from it as you would be if you were watching the Festival of Fantasy Parade. But have it breathe fire over you as you're cresting that hill, and you feel the heat as you're coming through. Oh, that would be amazing. Right into this thing of thorns at the very bottom. So
thorns, and then you can have the smoke come up, and there's that smoke,
yes,
and you're like, where are we going? You don't know because you can't see,
that's
and
what
it's
just
just
happened.
thorns.
This is what should have happened to Splash Mountain. I'll be
Oh
honest
my
with you.
gosh.
Continue.
Oh my gosh. Maleficent. So that is my number one. But if I think it was like way back when we talked about if we could redo stuff in Epcot. And I had mentioned that if Soarin' had to be an IP, it also, like you were saying, with the magic carpet, be like a Cave of Wonders ride. So if there was
I
somehow
like that.
you could make Cave of Wonders meets Flight of Passage, but you feel like you're flying on a carpet, and just kind of like one of those simulator rides, but on steroids, the way that Disney does amazing. Can we just put one of those in so that you can have like your e-ticket of Maleficent, then you have your everybody can ride thrill ride with that whole thing. So I was like, oh, plus we need more Aladdin in the park. We need it. We need it. Can you imagine that big like head, just like the gold head you could walk in as the entrance of the ride? Oh, amazing.
As you walk in, the Cave of Wonder, the diamond and the rough.
Yes. I'd lose my mind.
So I had a restaurant idea too, and kudos to Stephanie because she's kind of one of the ones that kind of, we talked through this last week. We were talking about 1900 Park Fair, and we were talking about what happens if they don't bring those characters back, but they bring back could they do different characters? And so then I thought, well, what if we did this as a character meal here and just call it simply Captain Hooks and have your Peter and Wendy, Captain Hook, Smee, your Tinkerbell, almost like 1900 Park Fair, but these are the characters you have. And they're kind of doing your meet and greets, coming to table by table. And of course, you can have a different, Lost Boys, different kind of flavors and foods and things like that, or whatever, prefix meal, or however you want to do it. But have like a Captain Hook themed restaurant where it's more themed to Captain Hook and Smee and even the crocodile versus Peter Pan and Wendy, but still have them there too. They could be meet and greets and have your Tinkerbell kind of dashing around, and or maybe she's the one you meet as you leave because you shrink down to a pixie size to get your picture and then shrink back up again because that's what you have to do.
Yes.
But have like a Captain Hook kind of character meal with all those characters because I feel like that's a movie with a large body of characters that you could easily put into a restaurant and make it a themed to that movie meal. I think that would
I
be
love that
fantastic.
idea. Oh, that's a great idea. Now that we say that about 1900 Park Fair, now I want to be like, why isn't there like Peter Pan and Wendy and Captain Hook and the Lost Boys? Like, that would be awesome.
And until you said that about Mary Poppins, I was thinking, what if they did that at 1900 Park Fair? But you said Mary Poppins at Grand Floridian, and I'm like, yeah, they're going to go Mary Poppins. They're going to have to
because they redid the rooms.
Yep.
So mine is, and I don't want to say that piano bar is the answer to this, but it is not.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to have a dining venue where you have like a piano player and just like a small band. And it's as if you're like coming into a lounge / bar where everybody's eating, fine, whatever.
Right.
But it's going to be the villains that like walk up and have a performance. Okay. So can you imagine? You can call it Voodoo Lounge if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like
And
it.
you can have Facilier like come out, he can sing his song. Ursula can come out and she can sing Poor Unfortunate Songs or Poor Unfortunate
Right.
Souls as a song. You can have Cruella come out. You can see her like with her little long cigarette and her
Mm-hmm.
big coat and whatever. But I was like even thinking Mother Gothel. If she
Oh.
did Mother Knows Best, I mean standing ovation.
Yeah.
Standing ovation.
Of course.
I
Well,
just need like I need more of those shows, like kind of like how Hoop Dee Doo was. And then when you had the luau, if they
mm-hmm.
did something like that, that was just like sit down, hey kids, you're not getting your pictures with any of them. We're gonna have some entertainment on the stage and we're all gonna eat dinner. Oh, I
So
love
okay,
it.
now I'm thinking you call this Facilier's Voodoo Review.
Okay.
And I'm thinking like a setup, almost like Country Bear Jamboree, where every curtain opens, there's another villain there, and like they're
Oh,
singing their song, and you could do animatronics or you could do live performance, and they're singing. Just you can't have full songs of everybody; it would just be too much.
mm-hmm.
But open it up there, and there's an animatronic of Scar, and he sings the "Be Prepared," like part of
See?
the first verse and the chorus, and then it closes, and Mother Gothel is your closer, maybe or something, and have your host as a Facilier coming out and be like, "I got friends on the other side. Let's meet him right now. Here's blah blah blah, whatever for Ursula." And then opens it up, and then she comes out, Poor Unfortunate Souls. Or although you see Ursula in the Little Mermaid ride, but you
Mm-hmm.
could have so many of the villains kind of just appear on stage as the curtains open and close, allowing you to move back and forth with this. And maybe at the end of it, Mother Gothel comes out to close the show and sings whatever. And you could make it a lounge, make it a piano bar, or
Yes.
just whatever. I like that. I like that idea.
I just, when I was thinking, I was like,
This
what
is a
kind
good
of
park.
restaurant? And oh my gosh, it is. Okay, so Disney, yeah, you can just
Mhm.
contact us. We have a ton of ideas.
Yep.
Josh, you know how to get a hold of
Yep.
me. Okay, so
The
it's
the
fine.
only other thing I think that I want to, and I like the name more than anything else, is have like a counter service and call it Hot as Hades, and it's basically like barbecue and stuff, but it's all spicy foods. Like I hate spicy food, so I would never eat here. But everything has a twinge of spice to it, pepper to it, because it's hot. Everything is served hot. It's flaming, and maybe even have like jalapeno ice cream as your dessert, things
Oh,
like that.
you
I mean, just
could.
like hot
And
as Hades, and
mhm,
so on the Hades
and
grill,
all the drinks could be served, could be blue there.
I like it.
I like it.
Little flames on top,
Oh, yes.
So this is a good park, Heather. This is
Oh
a
my
great
gosh,
park.
it's amazing. And there's so many things that I was like thinking of like that you could do. I mean, if you had like little things that were like themed lands as you're like walking through, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for your little town that you could walk through, it could be like Hocus Pocus, or like for the section that isn't going to scare the little kids, you can have like
Right.
Halloween town like things. There's so many options. And let's face it, Disney is butterflies and daisies. We all love it, but
Mm-hmm.
we need
People would go
a little
crazy over
evil.
this.
There is a reason, Disney, that your Halloween parties start in August and end on October 31st.
Yep.
And there is a reason that all of those parties sell out. People are craving that.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to do like the Halloween party in there. You can still leave those for Magic Kingdom or whatever. My only concern about this park, before we get to what our dark ride would be, is that could they do an illusion, like whenever you go to like Las Vegas and stuff, whenever you walk into one of those giant casinos, how they have the theming on the ceiling and it can change from like night to daytime.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When you are entering this, like when you are entering it, could they do that? Like where you feel like you're entering into like this evil kingdom, and how would it change between night, like daytime, say you're visiting in that land versus
Mm-hmm.
nighttime? Because you're not going to get me out of there at nighttime. Can you
No.
imagine how spooky they can make it?
Well, a lot of it, I think, would have to be indoors. I think you'd have to put a lot of these
Mhm.
attractions and things indoors or in some sort of covering so the lights would be diminished a little bit.
Mhm.
Like the Ursula ride we're talking about. I mean, maybe that's outside. But put some shade over it, please, for the love of God.
Mhm.
Put some shade over for the whole place if you
Yes.
can. Something like that. So, and a dark ride I was thinking of, and this is really just this is more fan service than anything because there are certain movies that are so freaking hugely popular, but are not represented in the parks of anywhere. I would love to see a dark ride that takes you through the story of Robin Hood. With Robin Hood, with
Oh.
Maid Marian and the Sheriff of Nottingham and Prince John, all the way through there, and even have like at the very end of it, as you walk out, having Nottingham meet and greet, have the Sheriff of Nottingham meet and greet, and Prince
Hmm.
John meet both of those characters, which I think would be tremendous. One of the coolest characters we've ever met. Steph and I were walking through Magic Kingdom, and this is back before everything had a line. This is probably 10, 12 years ago. There's Prince John just walking through
chilling.
through the town square, and we're like, Prince John. He turns around, he waves at us and everything. We got a great little picture with Prince John. We did the same thing with Friar Tuck. We randomly met Friar Tuck. People would go crazy over Robin Hood because people, especially older Disney fans, so many of them count Robin Hood as one of their favorites when they were a kid, as because that's one of the ones that like when you're a kid in the 80s or in the early 90s, that's one of the ones that hit video at an early time. So
Mhm.
that's the one of the ones people got on video early on, and they were able to watch it over and over and over. So Robin Hood is one I think that sticks with a lot of people, especially boys, because they don't necessarily when you're 7, you're not watching Little Mermaid all day. But you're
Mhm.
watching Robin Hood, you're watching
Mhm.
Fox and the Hound, you're gonna watch maybe the Aristocats or something. And I think Robin Hood is severely unrepresented in the parks, and I
Mhm.
think people would love it. I think people would absolutely love Robin Hood. Have a dark ride through there, make it kind of creepy. You're going through the woods of Nottingham, and of course Robin Hood wins the day. But then you walk out, there's Nottingham with a meet and greet.
I do like that. You know what else that just made me think of? Not to get sidetracked again.
Mm-hmm.
Disney owns Anastasia now.
Yep.
That could get dark. Oh, that would be good. And that could be like the one place, because that whole story is like so
Mm-hmm.
dark until the end. Speaking of that's another one with Angela Lansbury. Um, oh, 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 yes. Let's incorporate like the whole Rasputin thing and
Mm-hmm.
Anastasia somewhere in the park. Okay, my dark ride.
Yes.
This goes back to the ode of the former greatest Disney ride that was ever created prior to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Stitch's Great Escape. Got it.
Pirates in Shanghai is hands down like the most amazing ride, like the Imagineering that went into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, you already know what
Right.
you have to do for it. You take the blueprints from Shanghai, you bring it here, and it works with there's boat that sits like 10 across, so it's
Right.
gonna be a giant people eater. It works with magnets on the water, and there's so many illusions that happen with screens, with
Mm-hmm.
all this kind of stuff. What is the one movie that everybody in Disney has always tried to make popular and it never takes? And it was like Walt just needed it to be so popular. And the reason that it didn't take is because it's so terrifying, which goes back to you can have a Fantasia themed ride
Mm.
that would terrify you, that could have all the motion and like all it would literally do what the movie does with that ride mechanism that was developed by Imagineering.
Mm-hmm.
And that Chernobog thing at the end, I mean, they're probably going to have to put a warning on it, but they could go really dark
I
and
love
really
that.
evil, and it could be a whole Fantasia theme thing, and then Mickey saves the day at the end.
Of course he does.
But that could be the one thing that then solidifies like, why let's give Fantasia like a ride that's going to make
Could be
people talk
Phantasmic
about
the
it.
ride. Phantasmic the ride.
That show is not good either, but that's
I'm
another
looking forward
day.
to seeing the return. I do want to see the return. It's coming back sometime in November.
It's good in
Disney's
Disneyland.
Yeah. So, well, they're making changes to it, and they're taking out. Apparently, they're taking out the Pocahontas scene, which
Oh,
of
good.
course is very dated by now.
Mhm.
They'll probably put it in Frozen or Encanto or whatever's
Put in the magic
happening now.
carpet
So,
scene.
magic carpet scene or something. They'll put that in there. So
Mhm.
this is a good park. I would go to this park in a heartbeat. So, I really would. Can you imagine this part of the park during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party?
Oh, that's
Like
what
they
I
would
was
have
thinking.
they would have to rope it off,
Oh my
and
gosh.
only like you'd have to virtual queue to get in there. It'd be
And you
ridiculous.
know how like your villains after hours? Like,
Mhm.
can you could do villains after hours, say like every
Yes.
Tuesday and Thursday year round, and it would sell out if it started, say the park closes at 9, even if you
Mhm.
only did it for 3 hours, then you're cleaning up the rest of the park. You can have a separate exit that just it's that land and you exit out the back part of Magic Kingdom. But I was thinking like of the transition to like get into the land, all the things they could do. it could be amazing, and the Disney fans would go bananas.
Absolutely. And
So
as you're
of all the
walking back,
ideas, yes,
I'm thinking
all the
as you're
ideas.
walking back behind Big Thunder Mountain, that's when the sidewalk gets darker, and suddenly fog rolls in and stuff, because you're making that transition, like you said, from the happy to go see what's behind Big Thunder Mountain.
Mhm.
And maybe even you don't call it Villain's Land or whatever, you just call it Behind Thunder Mountain or something like that. I mean, that's and put that on the map, Behind Thunder Mountain, and go back there as you walk through the sidewalk. The lights are dimmer, and all of a sudden you walk under this archway, and then there's your attractions. There's your coasters, and there's your Fantasmic the ride, and there's your Ursula and your Facilier's Voodoo
coaster.
Review, and you got a reservation at Captain Hook's over here, but I'm gonna get some barbecue at Hot as Hades. This is good. This is good stuff. So
it's amazing.
yeah, I love it. Bob, get on this. Josh, Zach, you know what to do. Come on.
Yep. You got our number.
Well,
we got ideas.
The sad thing is Jenn is not here to contribute because she knows Bob and she could call Bob up easily. But she's in Mexico. So that's going to just about do it for tonight's show. Heather, how can people find you on the line to follow all your exploits and all your adventures?
You can find me at the Moana Mom on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
Very cool. And of course, you have a YouTube presence as well. Now, have we done many Quack Chats? We haven't done a lot of Quack Chats recently, have we?
No. Oh my gosh, the girls are so busy. Lord knows when I'll get to that. They're so busy. I can't keep up with them.
Well, the old episodes of Quack Chat on YouTube with her beautiful 2 daughters, and they're talking about their Disney exploits, and they're hilarious because they love Disney and they're just funny and they're like their mom, and it's really, really funny to watch. So that's on YouTube. Of course, you can also find our show on YouTube in case you want to see our lovely faces. We're here on YouTube. We don't promote it as much, but you can also find this show on Audible.com. I keep forgetting to mention that to people. Audible.com. You can download us off Audible as a podcast. So if you don't have the iTunes or the Stitcher or the whatever, you got Audible for your audiobooks, download the show. Find us in all those type places as well. Find me online at The Magic on a Dollar on Instagram. Find me at Magic on a Dollar and Disney on a Dollar on Facebook. And of course, the show itself, the MSC Podcast on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and all those places. And finally, Upon a Star Travel. That's the name to remember. Find us on TikTok. Find us on Instagram. Our girl Meredith is doing awesome things there. The Kevin reel she put out.
Oh my gosh,
today,
it's so funny.
It's so funny. It's hilarious.
It's genius.
She's so good at this, and she's taught herself how to do a lot of this. And just it's funny watching how she's progressed since when she first started, because she would get depressed and she'd be like texting me going, yeah, so I did a reel this morning. It's got like 30 views or whatever. And she just kept at it every day. Reels, TikToks. And now she's getting like thousands and thousands on every one she posts. It's pretty cool. And I'm like, no, I need success right now. I can't do like that and just wait. Jenn, can't wait to see you when you come back. Heather, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been great as we put together our Villains Park. And I am David. Hey, don't forget to scare your Phoenicians. Happy Halloween.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.